Hello. I'm gonna turn that off. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to yell in your ear. I know I'm annoying. Today's my first day off and I had a dentist appointment to get the final piece of to get the permanent crown on my tooth. So that's all done, luckily. I need to desperately wash my hair because, okay, she's sick of me. She's like, F you, lady. I'm sorry. My scalp is starting to like peel off my head. It sounds dramatic, but it's basically true. So I'm gonna go and have a shower and refresh and then start my afternoon. Leon's ready for his to be over. This video is a little bit messy because my brain is messy when I talk about this. So I'm trying my best to keep a clear mind and go down the list of things that I want to talk about, but I know it's not going to be perfect, so please forgive me for that. I'm certain that there's at least one other person out there that has had a similar experience and needs that reassurance that you're not crazy for having the feelings you have and for being confused about whether something was a positive or a negative experience for you. And I'm really just trying to understand what I've gone through better by bringing it to the surface and kind of like untangling it a little bit so that I get like a fresh start, or as much of a fresh start as I can get. I'm like sweating. I don't know why I'm so nervous to talk about this. I've never even spoken about this in therapy before. It's so weird because it's always been a part of my identity and I've never once brought it up, and I don't know why. I don't know if I've just been afraid to go there. I don't want to take anything away from myself. I know that people have been through way harder shit than this, but like this is my life and this is something I've gone through that's been challenging for me. So like I'm validated in that, right? I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to share this experience in hopes that it helps somebody else. If anyone has been in a similar situation as me before, please feel free to reach out. I would love to talk to someone who can relate about this topic and we can lean on each other. So I was a gymnast for most of my childhood. I want to say that it was the best thing that's ever happened to me, but I can't stand by that statement. When I think about if I had a child of my own, would I put them in gymnastics, considering all the benefits of them gaining like strength and coordination early on in life and helping them with other sports down the line? I can't say that I would want them to be a gymnast. And I also can't say 100% that it's the same as it used to be because it's been about, I don't even know, like about 15 years since I was in the sport. I went to school in the States growing up, and that's where I took part in gymnastics, so I'm just speaking on my experience there. I don't speak with my mother or my stepfather anymore, and I can't say that I ever will again. And I've noticed that this seems to be the norm these days. A lot of people aren't speaking to their parents anymore because of because they feel like they don't bring anything positive into their life, and there's been a lot of hurt and damage done that just can't be undone. Not because the child isn't willing to work through it and work on it with the parent, but because the parent is stubborn or unwilling to talk things through without growing defensive. This is something that I wrote one night when I just wanted to get my thoughts out of my brain and onto paper or onto a computer, I guess. So I will read this to you right now. Sometimes it crosses my mind. I remember the trembling muscles, aching ankles, bruised shins, jammed toes, and the sting of the bloody rips on my hands. I'd clench my fist and dig my nail tips into the open wounds on my palms until tears would flood my eyes, just to see how much pain I could take before giving in. Gymnastics learned to love me in every phase of my body's development, only because I put in the work to be accepted. That was until the new cycle of growth. Then it had to adapt and relearn since I would daringly change. I cried myself to sleep for years after quitting, thinking I made a huge mistake. I think I was addicted to suffering, and I didn't even know it. I'm starting to understand why that is. I was using this sport as some kind of outlet to torture myself for being a bad kid. I've been doing a lot of reflecting lately, and it's funny how much perspective you gain once a certain amount of time has passed and you're trying to heal. I see things so clearly now about my childhood, how much my time spent being a gymnast related to other personal dynamics. Like anything in life, hindsight is 20/20, and I was blinded by the unconditional love you can't help but feel for family if you're a decent human being. There are so many things I wish I would have known sooner. I could beat myself up about it all day. One thing I do know is that I would rather find out something or someone isn't good for me now rather than prolong the suffering indefinitely. Before you can have compassion for others, you have to have compassion for yourself, which I am trying to do. I'm trying to not call myself a weak ass biatch and say it's okay to feel. Don't have to be embarrassed. I'm not gonna lie, I cried a lot when I was little. It wasn't like the type of crying though where I want you to feel bad for me and I want to get my way. It was like I was screaming, like somebody freaking listen to me. And so it was a different kind of tears. It was more like it was a cry for help more than I want my way and I'm being a brat, in my opinion, as an adult now. One thing I will say about a positive about gymnastics, I met the most amazing woman in my entire life. I had so much fun with these girls, and like seeing them grown up now and how amazing they are still to this day is a gift. Like I'm so happy that I got a chance to be a part of their lives for a little bit. Another thing that I really loved about it was how strong I was. Like I knew that I could beat up any boy in school if I needed to, and there was something very empowering about that. I definitely was bullied for having bigger biceps than all the boys in my class, but I think gymnastics really helped me succeed in any other sport that I played because I had coordination and speed, agility, and strength. Like I got all the things from that sport. It set me up for success in anything else I chose to participate in. Not that I was the best in all these other sports, but I knew I could do anything and get by because of the foundation that I had laid for myself. Like after gymnastics, I joined every single sport I could find through school. Like volleyball, flag football, which is how I tore my ACL, softball, basketball, I was in cheerleading, cross country, track and field. I don't know if I'm leaving any out, but like every single sport I could join, because that's what I had been craving for so long, was the school sports. So once I quit, I finally had time for a social life. On the other hand, once I quit gymnastics, I was home a lot more because when I was a gymnast, I would literally get out of school. My mom would have to bring a lunch for me in the car and I would eat that. Well, I mean, you know what I mean. It wasn't lunch, it was like 3:30 or 4 p.m. and I needed to eat something before going and training for 4 hours. I would eat in the car on the way to gymnastics, and then I would also afterwards for another hour, I joined a conditioning program which was called TOPS in the United States. I don't know if they have that in Canada. And honestly, I can't even remember what it stands for and I don't really care anymore, but it was just like pure conditioning is all we did. We'd like climb ropes and do like hanging V-ups, handstand holds. Like basically we were just tortured, even though it was by choice. Practice would end, I can't remember perfectly, but the sun was down. I'd go home, I'd have dinner, shower, and try to squeeze in some homework and then go to bed. Like I had no time to study. I don't know how my teammates were able to maintain like straight A's. I have no clue. They're just geniuses, I guess, because I struggled. My grades never got low enough to this point, but if they did get low enough, you would be suspended until you brought your grades back up. It's kind of funny. It's just like, we're not going to give you any time to study and do your homework, but you better get good grades and be here all the time. And even if you're a little bit late, you're going to climb the rope. Even if it's not your fault, you're going to climb the rope. I remember always being sent to the rope and like hating it because you would get yelled at and you couldn't say anything. You had to keep your mouth shut because if you talk back, you were done. Like you have to keep your mouth shut. There's no one talked back. Learning routines, which your parents had to pay hundreds of dollars for, and being treated like you're an idiot for not remembering something. Just having like flashbacks. I think I can feel it, the trauma leaving my body. It's kind of nice. Being yelled at for not remembering a routine that you just learned was like a very special treat. Being told as a team that we should all go ride a short bus, basically calling us like mentally challenged, was also a great memory. Working my body so hard that I felt like I was having an asthma attack and I didn't even have asthma, and then crying because I couldn't breathe and then being told to just get back into it. That was very traumatizing. Telling like my parents what was happening and them not stepping in any way or like reassuring me that that's not okay to be treated that way. It made me wonder if they maybe like kind of got a high off of that I was being treated poorly. I don't know. I just, if I had a child and they came to me and told me that this is what was happening, I would be like mama bear, like do not abuse my child. Maybe I'm just soft, I don't know. I always thought I was tough. I've always been known as the tough one in my family, but sometimes I think that it just might not be true. And it was all a front. I just don't really want to talk about it anymore, honestly. I wanted to put this out so that I can connect with other people who might relate and, like I said before, support each other through this. But I just am so tired and I can't talk about it anymore. I had so much to say and I'm at a point now where I just need to I'm just gonna end it here. I could never sit here and say all I need to say in this video because thoughts come up like throughout the day, or I'm gonna have something that I wish I would have said a month from now. Like it's impossible to gather all the thoughts and all the information for this video. This is just my personal opinion on the sport though, and it doesn't mean you have to agree with me. It doesn't mean that everyone has had such a horrible experience, it might have been the best thing that's happened to someone. Oh, Leon, the pillow just fell on him. You okay? Oh, baby. That must have been scary for you. Are you embarrassed? Another thing about the sport of gymnastics that I found was very negative and did not help with my upbringing was obviously gaining weight, even if it's just a couple pounds as a gymnast, really impacts your ability to do the sport. We were always weighed also, and I mean, we were little girls. We were still going through puberty. We hadn't even gone through puberty yet. Of course we're gonna gain weight. So it was just really strange to me that we were stepping on the scale and then being judged and told, like, you've gained a couple pounds. Well, of course I'm growing. Like, you're not fully grown at 10 years old. And on top of that, when you're in a home where you feel like you don't have a lot of control, a lot of young girls end up resorting to eating disorders. I, for one, was bulimic for a lot of my childhood because the only time I felt that I could do anything for myself, which sounds so messed up and I don't know how to explain it, but it was definitely the only thing I felt that I had control over, what went in my mouth and what came out, I guess. And there were times where I would be throwing up and in the bathroom hiding, and my mom would be at the door trying to get in, and she just didn't understand, like, you're doing more harm. Like, this is not the true issue. The problem is that I feel like I'm in a cage and this is my only outlet. And so if you fix that problem, then the bulimia won't be present anymore. Maybe someone doesn't know this and you're gonna learn in this moment, but eating disorders are sometimes caused by someone lacking control. And it's the one thing you feel that you do have control over, and you find comfort in that. And so when I was younger and I was going through this, living with my parents, I resorted to bulimia, and my parents did find out about it, and they just freaked out about the fact that I was bulimic and didn't actually consider why and then try to solve the problem from that end. They just wanted to solve the bulimia, and it was never going to be resolved until our relationship was mended, I guess. It's not always like a body image thing. For some people, sure, but others, it is just feeling like you don't have a voice in your own life. It can just be wanting control over something in your life. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. It was hard to film, and I know it's all over the place, but I'm just trying to help someone. That's all I'm gonna say. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope I didn't offend anyone, and if I did, I'm sorry, but it is what it is, and